All right, today we are going to pull back the curtain on a piece of tech that's, well, it's a total game changer. It's turning AI from a cool party trick into an absolutely essential tool. We're talking about Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. This is the secret sauce that makes AI assistants not just smart, but actually reliable. So let's get into it.
I want you to just imagine for a second an AI that knows your company's latest sales numbers, like from this morning. An AI that's read the latest medical journals published yesterday. One that operates on pure, verifiable facts, not just, its best guess. That's the dream, right? The ultimate all-knowing partner for pretty much any job.
But let's be real. The situation on the ground is a little more complicated. These incredibly powerful large language models, or LLMs, are kind of like these brilliant, absent-minded professors. Sure, they can write poetry and spit out perfect code, but they can also, with a straight face, just invent facts. We call that hallucinating. And they have no idea what happened in the world after their training data was cut off. And that is the huge challenge we're here to talk about.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get to know our forgetful genius and its flaws. Then, we'll give it what I like to call a library for a brain. After that, we'll peek behind the curtain and see how the magic actually works. We'll pit RAG against the main alternative, see where it's already being used out in the wild, and then we'll take a look at what the next chapter holds.
Okay, so let's start with our main character, this brilliant but deeply flawed AI. Because even the biggest, baddest LLMs out there have some baked-in problems that stop them from being the all-knowing, trustworthy assistants we actually need them to be. This right here, this is the heart of the problem. Look at these points. First, hallucinations. The AI just makes things up, and it sounds so confident when it does it. Then there's the fact that its knowledge is stale. A model trained in 2022 is basically a time capsule and knows nothing about today. And this is a huge one. It has no private access. It can't see your company's internal reports or your personal notes. And finally, its working memory, the context window. It's not infinite. These aren't just little quirks. They're fundamental deal breakers for a lot of applications.
So, how do you fix a forgetful genius? Well, you don't do it by trying to stuff more and more facts into its head. That's a losing battle. Instead, you do something much smarter. You give it a library card. You give it the power to look things up in a massive, constantly updated external library in real time. That is the simple, beautiful idea at the core of RAG.
And here's the textbook definition. RAG is a system that goes out, finds relevant, up-to-the-minute information from somewhere else, like your company's database or a live news feed, and then hands that info to the AI before it even starts to think about an answer. Did you catch that key word? Before. That one step grounds the AI's response in reality, making sure it's accurate and actually relevant to what you asked.
Now, I know this might sound like magic, but it's really just a clever, step-by-step engineering process. So let's pop the hood and take a look at the actual blueprint. We have to start with two core concepts that make the whole thing possible.
First up, we have to talk about embeddings. This is a crucial concept. What we do is take a piece of text, a word, a sentence, a whole document, and we turn it into a string of numbers, a vector. But here's the cool part. Those numbers represent the meaning of the text. It's like creating a giant map of ideas where king and queen are plotted right next to each other, but king and, cabbage are on totally different continents.
Now, once you have that map of ideas, you can do something called semantic search. Forget your old school keyword search. This is way, way smarter. Semantic search looks for meaning. So if you ask, how much money did we make last quarter, it understands you're talking about revenue and Q3 earnings, even if you didn't use those exact words. It searches for what you mean, not just what you type.
Okay, let's put it all together. Here's the entire RAG assembly line. First, steps 1 and 2. We suck in all our data and chop it up into smaller, digestible chunks. Super important for finding the exact right info later. Step 3, we create those powerful numerical embeddings for every single chunk. Step 4, we store all those numbers in a special kind of database called a vector database. That's our AI's new library. Now the fun part begins. Step 5, when you ask a question, your question also gets turned into an embedding. Step 6 is the search. We use your question's coordinates to find the most similar chunks of data in our library. Step 7, augmentation. We bundle your original question together with the facts we just found. And finally, step 8, we hand that whole package over to the LLM, which now has everything it needs to give you a smart, accurate, and fact-based answer.
Now, RAG isn't the only game in town when it comes to teaching an AI new tricks. The other big method you'll hear about is fine-tuning.
It is really important to get the difference between these two because they solve totally different problems, and choosing the wrong one can be a very expensive mistake. This table really lays it all out. Let's just zero in on the big one, data updates. With RAG, it's real time. You just drop a new document into the database, and boom, the AI knows about it. With fine-tuning, you have to go through a whole new, super expensive retraining process. So if your information changes constantly, like say for a customer support bot, RAG is really your only option. And speaking of cost, fine-tuning is a huge investment, both upfront and over time. RAG is way cheaper. The bottom line is fine-tuning teaches an AI a new skill or style, but it can still hallucinate facts. RAG is designed specifically to prevent that by feeding it real data for every single answer. So if you're trying to decide between them, here is the simplest rule of thumb I can give you. It's really powerful. You use RAG to change what an AI knows. You use fine-tuning to change how an AI behaves. Its personality, its tone, the way it formats answers. They're tools for different jobs, and sometimes the most advanced systems actually use both.
All right, enough with the theory. Let's talk about where this is actually being used. Because RAG isn't just some research paper concept, it's already powering real applications that you might even be using without knowing it.
So think about a customer support chatbot that can actually pull up your specific order history from a live database instead of giving you a generic FAQ answer. That's RAG. Or an internal search tool for your company that can instantly find the one paragraph you need buried in thousands of pages of technical manuals. That's RAG. From lawyers scanning contracts to doctors searching medical literature to developers asking questions about a huge codebase, anytime you need a precise, fact-based answer from a massive pile of documents, RAG is the engine making it happen.
And developers aren't building this stuff from scratch every time. There's a whole ecosystem of tools out there. You've got these specialized vector databases like Pinecone, Weaviate, and Milvus, which are built to do that super fast semantic search we talked about. And then you have frameworks like LangChain and LlamaIndex that act like the plumbing, connecting all the pieces together with the big language models from companies like OpenAI.
So what's next? RAG is an incredibly powerful idea, but things are moving so fast and, let's be honest, it's not a perfect system yet. Let's quickly look at the hurdles people are working on right now and then dream a little about where this is all going.
You know, to give you the full picture, you have to know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. How you chop up your documents, that chunking process, can have a huge impact on how well the whole system works. If the search pulls up the wrong info, it can actually make the AI's answer worse. And doing all of this, the search, the bundling, the generating, fast enough for a real-time chat can be a real technical challenge.
But the future? Wow, the future is looking really exciting. We're starting to see RAG integrated into more complex AI agents that don't just answer questions, but can actually take actions based on the info they find. Imagine a system that's hooked up to a live feed of the stock market or social media trends. And the holy grail? A truly personal AI that uses RAG to build a memory of your conversations and preferences, literally getting smarter and more helpful the more you use it.
This quote right here just nails it. RAG isn't some niche little trick anymore. It's quickly becoming the standard, the default way you build smart, useful, fact-based AI applications. It's becoming the foundation.
So look, if you walk away from this with just one thought, let it be this one. RAG is what gives AI an open book test. It's the technology that finally gives our forgetful genius its library card, letting it read, reason, and respond with information that's current, correct, and tied to reality.
And that kind of brings us to this final, really interesting question. We've just given our AI the keys to the entire kingdom of human knowledge, updated every second. The potential is just staggering. So the only question left is, what do we do with it? What are the biggest, most important problems we should point this new power at first? Thanks for sticking with me.